Welcome to this video, yet another video covering one of my over-the-board tournament games played in the European Club Cup in Bilbao, Spain. This is the fourth game that I played, and the game where I faced the strongest opponent. My opponent in this game is the Italian number 2 player, Daniele Vocaturo. He's a grandmaster rated slightly below 2,600 ELO. Yeah, of course, he's the number 2 behind Fabiano Caruana. So nothing to be ashamed of. Yeah, we actually played the Italian team, and if you remember that I'm playing on board 5 and I got a 2,600 player. Yeah, this pretty much means that this was a super strong team, and it was. It was really great to play against this team because they played with board 1 Caruana, board 2 Nakamura, board 3 Vachela Graf, and board 4 Fresinet. So 4 players above 2,700, and with Caruana even the world number 2. So fantastic to play against such a team. Yeah, I played against Vocaturo, and it was a slight surprise that I played him because we had some small hiccup in the organization, and my preparation time was a bit limited. Not a problem really, because it wasn't so clear what he's playing anyway. He played the King's Indian in his repertoire, and also Nimzo, Rogozin, Queen's Gambit, some lines. Yeah, at the end I looked at some stuff, but it was tough to really concretely prepare. I went d4. The reason is that in case of him playing with e6, he went g6, King's Indian, but in case of e6 I wanted to allow the Nimzo, and yeah, I didn't want to get to those Queen's Gambit structures with bishop before. I don't know them so well, and this is what I could have gotten if I started knight f3. So this was my reason why I went why I started with d4. Okay, he played g6, so we got a King's Indian, and again I played the classical, which was part of my preparation, e5 castles. Yeah, not part of my preparation for the game, but a recent thing that I looked at. He went now after some thought, which was quite curious. In my prep I had seen that he always went knight c6 here, after which I could have gotten in my prep. I'm not showing what exactly I had prepared in the classical because it's something that I want to use in later games. But it was quite funny. He always had played knight c6 in prior games, and here he took minutes and then went with queen e8, surprisingly. Yeah, this is a rare move. And to be honest, I think it's a bad move. However, White needs to know how to fight it. I played the best reply because I had seen this recently in a game. Takes and b4. I recently had seen a game, Kramnik with White against Al-Modiaki from the Tromsø Olympiad, and in this game b4, queen e7, b5 was played, and Kramnik won quickly against Al-Modiaki. Al-Modiaki is a strong grandmaster. He's rated 2,550. If I'm not mistaken, he's the number 1 player of Qatar. I hope I'm not confusing things here. And I think, to be honest, to be perfectly frank here, to play that line with black against Kramnik is basically the same as not showing up for the game. You will lose without a fight. Pretty weird that he played that. Yeah, I can just briefly show you what happened. I mean, the big point is that White gains lots of space and will get even further tempo on the queen. In the game here, Al-Modiaki played a6, a4, takes, rook d8, queen c2, bishop a3. Yeah, and we already see that White has a huge advantage. He's got so much more space. He will get pressure against c7. It is a real disaster, yeah. Yeah, now even the pawn is just lost for nothing, and he resigned a couple of moves later. White is already winning. So I knew that this let's go back even more. I knew that this b4 line is the way to go, but I didn't know anything more. Yeah? Queen e7, b5. Now my opponent didn't play a6. He played the move rook to d8. Yeah, not this, but rook d8. Yeah, and here I think I missed a chance. I played queen c2 here, which is not like terribly bad, but it's not the best move in the position. And my mistake was I thought about knight d5 here. It's not that I didn't look at the move, but I failed to appreciate one key point. Knight d5 is strong here, really strong. The reason is black is pretty much forced to take. What else? Yeah, he needs to take this. And of course I saw that and I immediately thought, wow, this is nice. Yeah, I'm going to get in a4, bishop a3, yeah, those kind of moves. And then I saw that he can play a6. And then I stopped and thought, well, okay, this isn't that great, right? What now? If I let's say I play a4, he will take, and all of a sudden he's getting some sort of counterplay. The queen and rook here. This is not a good spot to be in. So I didn't like that so much all of a sudden. And what I failed to recognize is that after a6, white has a much stronger move. White can play the move queen a4, which looks weird in a way, because yeah, what does the queen do on a4? It looks more natural to put the pawn there, but this is very strong. It is really strong. Queen a4 is preparing the very direct bishop a3, just like that. Black cannot take b5, and how exactly are you going to develop now? Yeah, my next moves will be bishop a3, or possibly sometimes bishop g5 and rook c1. White is far better developed anyway, and you don't have a move. This is a really, really bad position for black. I didn't think about queen a4 at all. I mean, I don't know. I was just thinking, a6, and when the pawn on b5 is going, then he will be able to develop. But that's not happening. Queen a4 is just a very strong move. I'm not sure why I didn't see it. I mean, I was really only concerned about a6 here, maybe c6, but this is a game that I found with c6, bishop c4, takes, bishop e6, bishop g5, taken, and bishop b7, splat, and white wins. Yeah, at least a pawn and a good position. This is a game Shariat-Zdanov Troata from 1997. Yeah, nothing that I knew or was aware of, but it's kind of clear that this is good for white, this c6. I was only worried about a6, but I failed to really appreciate the queen a4 thing. Yeah, knight d5 was a very good chance to get a big advantage. Yeah, I didn't do that. I didn't see that at all. I played queen c2. Okay, queen c2, he went c6 and a4. This was what I was seeing before. I thought, okay, bishop a3 is a move that will come with the tempo, and I have a huge space advantage on the queen side. However, what always needs to be kept in mind, strategically speaking, this whole setup for white also involves a risk, and the risk is, from a strategic point of view, that d4 is a weak spot. This is especially emphasized by the fact that black is able to play bishop g4. He wants to take off this knight on f3, which is a defender of the d4 square. And if he is given enough time, then black will have a nice position. Just imagine if we somehow would transfer the knight from here, from b8 to e6. Yeah, it takes a while. Here, here, here. Then it comes to d4, and this is a monster knight. So, I need to be cautious. However, I had, I think, evaluated this correctly. Bishop a3, queen back, and a5. My evaluation was that my initiative, this pawn roller, is so quick that it does not really, it will not come to the situation where he can use my d4 weakness. One important point is that black really is never in any position to take on b5. Here he took on f3, which is a good move, but if we just consider this is really never an idea for two reasons. Sometimes it's just this move with those kind of knight jumps, but also from a purely positional point of view, this move is also very helpful for me if I get this bishop activated. Here probably knight b5 is stronger, but the general point. He took on f3, which I think is a right decision. He could have played a6. This is also interesting. Then I take on c6, knight takes. Yeah, note that pawn takes can also be answered by this, and all of a sudden b6 is a huge weakness. So knight takes, and then something like knight d5, and this leads to an interesting position. I have this super strong knight on d5, which he needs to get rid of. Queen b5, rook d1. This was an alternative. I mean, black is not in a terrible shape here. An interesting position, maybe equal. It didn't happen. I think his decision was right. He took on f3, takes, and bishop f8. This was his concept. He wants to trade off those bishops, a bad bishop on g7, to, after this trade, queen f8 also was possible. After this trade, emphasize the dark squared weaknesses. Okay, rook d1. What I'm basically hoping for, or was playing on, is the better development. I have all pieces in play, and he still has the knight on b8. It's not so easy to develop this piece. What he did is, he did exactly that. He took on d1, and now went knight bd7, trying to develop the piece. And this was not such an easy move to make because of what happens in the game. And this was exactly what I was anticipating, that knight bd7 is not a move that he can play so easily. I now played the move a6, and this is mandatory. I must do that, and it was also planned. If I don't do that, it might happen that he gets to this position with the knight on c5, the knight on e6, and the knight on d4. With two knights against a very, very stupid looking bishop on f3. Yeah, so knight d7 and a6, that's mandatory, absolutely. Okay, he took there on a6, what else? And I took c6. Aha, so I'm getting a pawn to c6, which is at the moment not very well supported. Knight c5 and c7. This was clear. It was a matter of a correct calculation. Black now has only precisely one line, but exactly what he played. He had seen this beforehand when he played knight bd7, and I had seen it as well, of course. Rook c8, knight d5. Yeah, this keeps the pawn on c7 and attacks the knight. Now it's important, black cannot take here, as this is leading to a very unlucky situation. Yeah, what he needs to do is he needs to play queen c6. This is the only move, but the move that keeps the position in balance. Yeah, very interesting position now. What can I do? I was thinking for a while here, and then went queen c3. I didn't evaluate this quite correctly, to be honest. I thought that I would still play for an advantage, but it's probably not true. Yeah, well, queen c3. I still think that this is the right move, by the way. He took on d5, and here an interesting position arises. Originally, I was thinking that I can take also with the pawns. Yeah, like ed, yeah, something like that. E takes d5, queen d6. Important, yeah, not this one. After d6, white has a huge advantage. This is especially true for c takes d6. Yeah, note that the bishop is also coming into the play. e5 is hanging. White is winning immediately. He has to go here, yeah, blocking the pawn, and only then taking it back. And note that black has a very solid blockade there on the dark squares with the knight on c5. Yeah, I can do something like this, like here, f6, h4, rook c7. Now this kind of position, but this is nothing clear. I mean, nothing that that black must be totally scared about. He's a pawn up, and he's got a solid blockade that's not easy to break. So ultimately, I thought that taking with a pawn is probably even a bit risky, and then I took on e5 with the queen. I can do that because I have the intermediate, I have this threat on h8, yeah, winning the rook on c8. He has no other move than queen takes. There is nothing else. Something like that, for example. Sorry. Yeah, I'm winning the rook. Yeah, and he has no other move also with the knight. If he, let's say, goes here, yeah, I go here. So he must play queen takes. Yeah, queen takes. Yeah, and now there is no big choice. Queen takes, and he went knight e6. And originally, I thought that I still could do something in this position, like playing for an advantage in some way. But when I was looking at it a little bit deeper, I mean, deeper, it took me not so long, but once it was on the board, I recognized, oh wait, this wasn't such a great calculation. He's just threatening rook d8, and rook d8 wins the queen. I have no square. Yeah, and c4 hangs. So, not so easy all of a sudden. Yeah, okay, it's not like I'm in big trouble, but I really don't have much, probably much else than e5. The computer also points out rook a1, but I didn't really consider that very much. Yeah, rook a1 intending to go to a5. Yeah? This line, rook d8, queen a5. It's also possible. I went e5. This is also active. Yeah, he took on c4, which is right. I gave the check. King here, and queen e7. This was my idea when I was going for that, activating the queen, not going for a passive defense. I have queen f6, play on the dark squares. After I have secured my back rank, I might even have rook d7. Note that black's extra pawn at the moment is this double pawn, the a6 and a7 pawn. So it's not like he's got a comfortable, simple extra pawn. I have counterplay also. Queen a7 hangs, for example. He went to c5, and there were alternatives. He can also go to f4, by the way. Then I take here, takes here, take here, and after this we will get the drawn position. Really, very simple draw. Queen c5 is maybe the more testing move what he played. I gave the check, king g8, and now I went h4. Right now here we both didn't have so much time on the clock. There were alternatives. Bishop g4 also looked interesting. After that he can go queen c2, which irritated me, but it's not a big deal. In fact, I have a good move with h3. This is what I did not really consider that much. The idea is that now rook d7 comes into the equation. Rook c4, for example, now. And yeah, the point is I still cannot take on e6 as this hangs. This hangs. However, I can force a draw now, like this. Yeah, and we have a draw. Yeah, so bishop g4 was a good alternative, but okay, I went h4. Time was limited. Both is not. It's not a huge difference. It seems that with enough active play or enough active moves, White has good chances to keep the position equal. He went to c7, and I played rook to d6. Yeah, his idea is rook e8 and queen e7, trying to secure the position. Yeah, okay, I played rook d6. I could also play h5. It was an interesting alternative. Rook d8, rook b1, intending rook b7, and then rook b8, rook d1 back. This could be a funny way to end the game with a draw. A pretty logical result, it seems. The game was even for a long time. Yeah, if we go back, this did not happen. I played rook d6 as mentioned, and he went rook e8. Yeah, that's pretty logical move. He wants to go queen e7, and he covers e6 as well. If he is doing something else, we can look at this, the check on c1. King h2, queen f4, takes, and rook a6. Yeah, and we just have an equal position. There is nothing going on. Yeah, he wanted to fight, of course. He wants to try somehow to win the game. He went rook e8, and I played bishop to g4. h4, of course, was a dual purpose move. It wants to get this attacking unit in the game with h5, h6, trying to mate on g7, but also gives my, oops, a bit much here. I wanted to actually just draw this. It gives my king some additional breathing space. Okay, he played knight f8 back, ultimately trying to attack the e5 pawn. Went h5, and he took. Yeah, he could have played queen e7 as well. After that I can take and go f4. And this is definitely enough for a draw, as the a pawn, the a6 pawn, will drop. I'm super active here, so there is no way for black to come even near a win in this position. Yeah, we can continue that. g5, g3, a5. Yeah, this is a pretty logical line that might have happened, and it's just a draw, really, unless someone is blundering really heavily, but it is other than that, it's just a draw. Yeah, this was queen e7, but he took on h5, takes, and knight g6, really trying to get to the pawn. Yeah, here I didn't have any time left, really, and I made a small error in calculation. I thought I played e6, and I really thought I'm winning here, which was a mistake. was a mistake. Not the move, fortunately, but the idea that I could win here. My idea, of course, was that I'm threatening on f7. I threaten rook d7, all kinds of things. And yeah, what is his move? Yeah, he cannot take on d6, of course. It just wins the house. Or queen f7 is also on. It's probably even stronger. Yeah, this wins the queen. I'm sorry, ef is totally enough. Yeah, so he really, it looks like he has no move. Yeah, if he takes here, I'm grabbing here. Yeah, this happened in the game, of course, but he has a defense. This check, I didn't see that check, and this check all of a sudden. I didn't see beforehand that this square is available, and I was a bit shocked at first that I had overlooked this, but it turned out to be not any problem. White is active enough to keep the game in balance. I went to g3. He took with the queen. Yeah, there's really no other move. Takes, and now I just took on a6. Yeah, it's a simple line now. Rook a6. I'm threatening to take on a7. He needs to keep both pawns to even have some hope. So rook e7, and now king to f4. This is the point. My king is quickly joining the action. After king f7, I go king e5, and here black has absolutely zero winning chances. He went to b7, and I just played f4 here, and he has no way forward. King on the e file is answered by rook e6 with check, and yeah, I'm just keeping this active position, and he can do nothing. He gave the check here. I went to the 4th rank, check again, and after some checks we agreed to a draw. There is absolutely no way forward. If you want another way to draw this, like here, white can also just push his pawns if he wants, and get rid of all the pawns. It's also a way to get a draw in. I mean, and black has no moves really to play on. Yeah, so a draw at the end. It seems that the biggest opportunity that I really had in the game to go for something was right in the opening, when after rook d8 I failed to appreciate that this knight d5 move was much stronger than I thought, and this I think, yeah, would have led to a situation where he needed to be super precise. In fact, he played very precisely in the game. If you remember this sequence here, when he was calculating correctly that knight d7 was good, this was a good defensive job. Here it is really hanging by a thread, but it's exactly like this working for black. I guess a fair result. I mean, I looked at it with the comp, and it never gave anything substantial to either side. So I think a draw is, besides this knight d5 moment in the opening, knight d5 is assessed by the computer by almost +1, just to put it in perspective. It's a very strong move. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't really understand that this was so strong, but the game was interesting. I'm pretty sure if we look at the position, like around here, yeah, here, this is not easy to play. I mean, he really played a very good defense here in this position. I think a much weaker player could have gotten into trouble easily here with some less precise moves. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. Of course, I was glad with the draw. I mean, the draw is okay. Right after this game, I thought I had spoiled it a little bit, but to put it in perspective, really the computer finds nothing great besides this 95 moment. Okay, thanks for watching.